You come in here, and I'm going to get you right up here, right in front of the camera. And the first thing I want you to notice is how you approach. So notice how your foot is sticking way out, or it's out in front of your knee. It's not sticking way out, but ideally where you'd want to land, keeping the knee soft, is letting your foot come down about there. Okay. You've got a nice leg lift, so that looks really nice. The other leg that you've got this shin parallel to the ground. That's really pretty, and that's your right side. Okay, just trying to remember which side you had the hip sinking a little bit. Yeah, see how you've got a nice relaxed there because you're able to support yourself really well on your left leg. But then when you go to land on your, when you land on your right leg, here, watch what your left leg doesn't come up as high. It's just a slightly lower, and plus see how much you sink down on the right side. So that right hip instability is affecting your left side as well. Anyhow, that's just something I just happened to notice right there. When you do fully load that foot, you're still, okay, there you go, you're still somewhat behind your center of gravity. You're pretty straight up and down, I would say. You're actually not that far behind your center of gravity, but rather you're pretty straight up and down. And ideally, we'd want to see just a slight lean. That lean is only about, it's not that much, that's a whole lot of lean. It's only about an inch in first gear, or when you're going real slow. If you can get your hands on the another copy of the Chi Running book, or if you want, I've got some copies and I can certainly get one to you. It's really crucial to understand that lean isn't very much at all. However, I had you do a drill today where I had you keep your head upright, or to lean way back, and you can kind of feel the brakes come on, and then you start to lean forward, and you'll find a sweet spot where it just kind of feels like that all of a sudden it's not so hard. And then if you keep going past that, then all of a sudden it's a little bit harder because now you got a lot of tension in your low back, or your feet are gripping or whatever. But so that lean, there's just this window of balance, and it changes. It changes with, how well rested you are, all that good stuff. So it's not, but it doesn't change that much. But in any case, we had talked about that today. So now notice your right foot coming down again ahead of your knee, and there's a lot of tension in the ankle dorsiflexion. So if you were to let that foot land about there and maybe release a little bit of that tension in the ankle, you would be set up for a better position when you loaded your full body weight on that foot. But right now, as it stands, so to speak, when you load your full body weight on the right foot, see how far behind your foot you still are. So that stresses the knee. And of course, this is your unstable side. So we'll flip it around and look. The arm swing, by the way, looks really good. I mentioned that don't cross that center line, but I think that's coming from your instability in your hip. So it's not you consciously crossing your center line, like there are some people that will run like that their elbows swing out from side to side instead of back and forth. I think yours is coming from that little instability. Let's see how that looks on the left side. So here's your right side, and then you load it, and you're still pretty far behind by the time you fully load it. And then here's your strong left side, and you load it. And there it's fully loaded. You're still a bit behind it, but not as far as you were on the right side, and that doesn't surprise me. So I think addressing a lot of the issues that we talked about today is going to be helpful. All right, we'll go to your front to back video now. Okay, have you coming front here. So see that turn there as you push off on the left foot. And so you're kind of, let me take you through the whole motion. I'll shut up. Okay, there's the right foot. You're kind of leaning your body over towards that to compensate for that instability. And then you come back onto the right foot, and then there's this twist. And then I'm going to go back through that a little bit more. I just wanted to see something else. And then see how, watch your feet as they come up, they kind of kick out a little bit. That's your, when I address the internal rotation of your upper legs, you know, and I had you externally rotate your upper legs so that you could align your knee pits so that they're pointing straight back. So that's what's going on under dynamic loading, which is also called running, is that as you load that foot, you're kind of, you have the internal rotation thing going on in your upper legs. More so when you load, interesting, more so when you load that left leg, because we identified your right side as being the weak hip side, which it's still, you still can see. Let's take a look at the hips here. As you load the right side, you can see a little bit of lateral movement in the hips. In other words, they're going out that way, which then drops this hip down, so you kind of get this little line here. Find my clear button. There it is. Okay. And then when you load the left leg, there's a little bit, but not quite as dramatic. And because when you're loaded on the right leg, there's just a whole lot more instability there. You get a lot more kicking out of the left side. You get the lateral hip movement of the right side, so now that you've kicked out that left leg, now you got to bring that back into line underneath your hips, so there's some extra work to do. It's just again, this is being super picky, but that said, all those picky things will add up in, you know, over time in repetitive motion that is running. So again, we looked at how you really cross over on that right side, but the left side stays in line with the hips. And I'd be curious to see, I think the Ultraflies, Topo Ultraflies would be a good one for you, because you do, that's going to help. I'm not a big fan of correcting movement through shoes, but you need to meet your body where it's at. And right now, what I think you need is something like the Ultrafly, where it has a little bit more of a built-up medial side, so the inside of the shoe, so that when it provides a little bit stiffer crash pad, so to speak. So that's going to sort of train you not to collapse down so much, especially on the right side. See, that's why your feet they turn out, because you're trying to compensate for that. Anyhow, again, the arm swing is good, but it's that what's drawing you towards your center line is more that twisting motion. So we want to work on quieting those shoulders, and but that's going to come as you start to stabilize your hips some more. Alrighty.